Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Next week we'll be in Monte Carlo at the annual reinsurance rendezvous. We'll no doubt be centered on Hurricane Irma. We will not be broadcasting next week. The next broadcast will be Wednesday, September 20th. Wednesday, September 20th. Lloyd's of London has released a realistic disaster scenario, something called an RDS, which is a mandatory compulsory product which is released by the Society. It assumes a $131 billion total insured loss from a Miami-Dade windstorm event such as Category 5 Hurricane Irma, which is something that is likely to happen beginning Sunday. Lloyd says that in this scenario, it envisages a $66 billion insured loss from residential property and a $65 billion loss from commercial property. Auto and marine losses are estimated at $2.25 billion and $1 billion respectively. The CAT modeling firm Risk Management Solutions has already estimated that total insured value of property on St. Martin and on the Dutch side of the island, St. Maarten, comes to about $6.6 billion. The company placed the insured value of Barbuda property at less than $200 million. Barbuda, St. Martin, and St. Maarten have been largely destroyed, at least according to press reports. Now, speaking of Hurricane Irma, the director of FEMA, Brock Long, said that Hurricane Irma will devastate either Florida or neighboring states. He said that parts of Florida could be without power for days and more than 100,000 people may need shelter. Meanwhile, there are continuing reports of looting on the hurricane-hit Caribbean island of St. Martin. There's now an estimated 15 people who have been killed. The National Hurricane Service has downgraded Irma to a Category 4 storm as of this morning, but says that it remains extremely dangerous with winds of 155 miles per hour. Just as a point of reference, when Hurricane Katrina came ashore in Louisiana, it was a Category 4 storm. At 5 a.m. Eastern Time, the hurricane remained extremely dangerous. The core of the hurricane is going to move between the north coast of Cuba and the Bahamas during the next 24 to 48 hours and will be near the Florida Keys and the southern Florida Peninsula on Sunday morning. A storm surge warning is in effect across much of South Florida. The Florida coast, the South Florida coast, and the Keys could face a storm surge of up to 10 feet. In Florida, mandatory or voluntary evacuation orders are in place in Miami-Dade County, the Florida Keys, and parts of Palm Beach County. A mandatory evacuation order is set to begin on Saturday on the Atlantic coast of Georgia. The port of Savannah, which is the fourth largest container port in the U.S., will be closed starting on Saturday. In the U.S. Virgin Islands, a major hospital was badly damaged by the wind. 2 people were killed there. 3 people were killed in Puerto Rico by Irma, and about 2/3 of the population lost electricity. Irma fortunately did bypass the Dominican Republic on the Dominican Republic side of the island of Hispaniola, but did wreak considerable damage and power outages on the Haitian side. The French Caribbean islands were very hard hit, as we reported. French President Emmanuel Macron indicated that he's planning to travel there to the Caribbean once the weather permits it. Meanwhile, right behind Irma is Hurricane Jose, which is now a Category 3 storm and is threatening to intensify. Unfortunately, Jose is going to hit some of the same Caribbean islands that have been largely destroyed by Irma. Jose is about 535 miles east of the northern Leeward Islands, but is moving steadily in their directions. A Category 3 storm means, quote, devastating damage will occur in affected areas. Unfortunately, some of the affected areas that are going to be hit by the storm, which has wind speeds already of about 125 miles per hour that are going to strengthen today, have also been hit by Irma. That includes Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Maarten, and St. Barthélemy. So what those people are going to do is anybody's guess, because they have no homes. Their shelters have been destroyed. Meanwhile, Hurricane Katia, which is a Category 1 storm in the Gulf of Mexico, which is expected to intensify maybe as much as a Category 3, is expected to make landfall in the Mexican state of Veracruz sometime early tomorrow. On top of all this, last night there was an 8.0 magnitude earthquake in Mexico, the strongest earthquake to occur in Mexico in over a century. The earthquake killed at least 15 people, sent people out into the streets in Mexico City, about 650 miles away. The quake struck off the state of Chiapas near the Guatemala border. The USGS recorded at least 20 aftershocks of magnitude 4.0 or greater, including a major aftershock that came in at 7.2. There was a 1 meter tsunami off Salina Cruz, Mexico. Smaller tsunami waves were observed, but there was no significant tsunami activity. In Indonesia, 5 contract employees of PTSC Engineering were killed in an explosion on a 250-foot-long tanker called the Gamkanora. The Gamkanora was in a dry dock in the Indonesian island of Riau, in the city of Batam. The 5 workers were killed when an explosion occurred on the ship. One of the other casualties of Irma, of course, is the super-yacht and marina insurance business. As this 165 to 175 mile an hour storm blew through the Caribbean, several yachts have been reported as destroyed, including the 40-meter-long Mondo Marine super-yacht Sierra Romero. There was also a 200-foot yacht called the Beniti Delfino, as well as the Westport 112-meter-long yacht Pipe Dreams. These yachts, of course, are extraordinarily expensive and will be total losses for the insurance market. As we mentioned yesterday, despite warnings to evacuate, Richard Branson, who also owns several yachts, refused to leave his private retreat of Necker and took cover in a reinforced concrete bunker. He's fine. There's no word yet on his 32-meter catamaran Necker Bell, nor is there any information as to where his yacht is, whose name we do not have. It's not known whether they were in the area or not. The yacht insurer Petanius is urging affected owners to get in touch with them as soon as possible. So there's quite a lot of news going on, and you can be sure that next week in Monte Carlo, reinsurers will be talking to each other, wondering whether or not the market is indeed about to turn and whether premiums will go up. Unfortunately, if they do go up, they will come with a considerable price tag. As Lloyd estimates, it could be as much as $131 billion. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I hope we'll see you on September 20th. Thank you.